Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So we're going to be doing an oil change here today on this bike. This is one of my most recent bikes. I want to start driving it tomorrow, so figured now is a good time to give it an oil change. I have no idea when the last time this oil was changed in this bike. So in that situation, it's always good to do a little oil change. So this is the type of oil that the bike takes. It's a 10W40. I'm going with Castrol just because it's cheap and simple, and I've used it for a while and always had good results. So yeah, with these small 200 engines, usually they take about 1.6 liters of oil. So I got 2 liters, so we should be good to go. They don't need a filter because they have a small metal filter on the engine. You guys will see that very soon. Okay, so step one, I guess, for the oil change is to warm the engine up. I'm going to turn the bike on, give it about a good 10-minute warm, just so all dirt and sediment that's in the engine will circulate, and then it'll be more likely to come out when I drain the oil. We don't really need many tools. We need a wrench. I think it's a 23 mil. But I usually use a 15-16 because I don't have the proper size to do it, and 15-16 is very close. So I'll grab the drain pan, and then we'll warm the bike up, and then we'll drain out the oil. Just for demonstration purposes, I have a spare engine over here on the bench. And if you look on the very bottom of the engine, you can clearly see this is the drain plug. So on the bike that we're going to be doing the oil change on, this is what we're going to be looking for, is that plug. Okay, I just warmed the engine up there. So let's go ahead and drain out the oil. So if you don't have the proper 23 mil, I think it is, pretty sure. I'm using a 15-16. You can see right there. I'm using the 15-16 that I have in my wrench chest. For some reason I don't have very large metric. So yeah, I'm going to take this bolt out. Just be careful when you take that bolt out, because if the engine is hot, which in this case is pretty warm, if the engine is hot, that oil is going to be hot and that can burn you. So just make sure you take this bolt out safely and try not to drop it into the drain pan, just the oil. Be nice to have a pair of gloves to wear. That's it, that's all I can do. There you go. Oil is draining out, so I somehow never dropped it yet. You can see this is actually how it comes out. It has that little metal mesh screen. This is the exact orientation that goes back in. So we got the oil draining out. I'm going to let that continue to drain. Also, another thing I like to do is come over here to this side and the dipstick, which is on the opposite side right here. We usually like to open the dipstick. This one's a bit hard to get off, so I had to grab a pair of pliers and just motivate it to come unstuck. So basically by undoing the dipstick while the main engine drain bolt is undone, it allows this to basically act like a vent, similar to like a gas can. Like that's why they have a vent on it. So now we can circulate a bit more air through it to help that drain. But also what I like to do is take this tire and prop it up onto a little bit of a piece of wood and just help drain out any extra oil. As with any oil change you do, it's always good to just have a look over, look at the gasket, make sure that there's no nicks or frays, make sure the spring looks good. I'm gonna have to get a little bit of that little dirt off it. You can see this is the main engine filter, because back then they went with a simple technology. They went with just a metal filter. This is supposed to capture any like big particles, like metal particles or anything, and basically try to prevent it from going throughout the rest of the engine and clogging an orifice or something like that. So it's real simple, which means you don't have to buy one of these. Just give it a little clean. Make sure there's no pieces of metal in here, which is the main thing. Same with your oil. I already had this drain bucket a bit full, so I won't be looking too deep into it. But yeah, I'm gonna finish cleaning these, stick it back in the same orientation that it came out, and tighten the bolt. Okay, you can see I got the big bolt back in. You can actually look up a torque spec for this, because like all bolts, they have torque specs. I just snugged this up Typically you don't want to go over tight, you don't want to like strip it out, and you don't want to go too loose, because if not, the oil will leak out past that little gasket. So I got this all snugged up and good to go, and now I'm just going to fill up the oil. Okay, you can see I got the filter stuck in. So now we're going to put in 1.6 liters of oil. We'll go 1.4 and then we'll check the dipstick. Okay guys, you can see here's the dipstick in front of me. You'll notice here on the bottom side, the camera, right here we have a lower limit, and up here where the circles do, we basically have an upper limit. So usually we want it about halfway between the scale to 3/4 of the way. So we want it about 50% or 70% full at any given time. It does fluctuate a bit depending on how hot the engine is, but usually if you check your oil, if it's at least half full, you're good to go. So let's clean this off, and then we'll check to see how much oil we have currently. I'll just give this a good wipe, and then we'll check the dip on it. Basically, we'll do the dip on it. Okay, just put the dipstick in. This is how you check it. Some people think that you got to tighten it all the way down, but it's not the case. You just lay it in and you check it. You can see that looks pretty full. So we should be good to go. That's another reason why I love the 200s is they don't cost much for an oil change. Literally, it cost me like $12 Canadian. And Castrol is a pretty good name. Like, you might have a preference, but I'm just using the cheap 10W40. It's motorcycle grade, so don't need to worry about that. That's it. Oil change is now done. And the last thing I usually do on every engine I change is I'll start the engine up, give it a good 5 minutes, and I'll check underneath. Like, I know I spilled a bit of oil, but I'll usually check underneath, make sure that there's no leaks anywhere, which is just a good thing to check anytime he does an oil change on anything. Well, I hope you guys found this helpful, and thanks for watching. Feel free to tag along if you want to see more videos. I tend to work on a lot of stuff, and I tend to drive them, so thanks for watching, guys. See you again soon.